which is Mars.
Interesting. Okay. Well, any more questions from anybody? Okay, another. Come on, come here for a question.
Perhaps the most realistic Mars movie I've seen, although it wasn't quite realistic, A Guy Can Breathe on Mars, was Robinson Crusoe on Mars. It wasn't like glaringly wrong, or ending with aliens for that matter.
Interesting. Okay, thanks. Okay, I think we'll start with Mary, and if you want to wrap up comments, anything you forgot, anything else you want to mention, whatever the case may be, if you just want to wrap it up.
Well, two completely random things that I wanted to add is, number one, do they use just staff writers? Because I was thinking, the Osama bin Laden thing might really fit there. The other thing is, nobody has mentioned Shambleau, which is, vampires on Mars, and, how cool is that? I mean, we need vampires on Mars. But really, I don't know what else to say. I'm fascinated. It's a place. I keep looking at it, and I look up in the sky and I think, we got to go there, for heaven's sakes, because there's so many cool stories that would just happen naturally if we were there. So I don't know. That's not a very original thing to say, I guess, but I believe it with my heart.
Well, just want to give honorable mention to really one of the most influential Mars things that somehow I'm sure everyone's read and somehow eluded this discussion, and that, of course, would be the Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. And lacking in science completely, and yet true in the sense that the Burroughs novels were true in depiction there is another world, and true on that sense, and so what can one say? By the way, I'll just comment one little thing. People may not know that movie Robinson Crusoe on Mars does not go down in film history as one of the great movies, although people do remember it. But the guy who wrote it was Howard Cook. Do people know what else he wrote? Casablanca.
Oh.
Which is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
Doesn't that star Adam West?
Adam West?
Adam West Batman.
In Casablanca? No.
In an alternate universe. And they changed the theme music a little bit.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars?
Well, of course, we've been talking about science fiction for, sort of its higher purpose and how inspirational it is and wonderful for young people and teaches us about Mars and inspires us about other planets. But I do just want to remind people that the reason we read science fiction is it's fun. I mean, it's a little bit of a slander to say science fiction is just entertainment, but there's more to it than lectures. So if any of you are not science fiction readers and are thinking, oh my God, this is going to be awful, these people are talking about putting equations into their stories. Actually, I think you could read all of the works of all of the science fiction writers here and you won't find, any differential equations in them. We barely get above simple calculus. So, science fiction is really, in fact, it's about events and things happening. It's about characters as well as the setting and the background. But it's stories about people, about characters.
And I think the thing that science fiction has done for me is it's sort of sensitized me to the wonder that exists in the universe. That having read so many stories of wonder and had the strangeness of these imagined worlds pointed out to me on the page, when I see the truly bizarre and unexpected strangeness of the real world, and the more information and the better pictures we get back from the other planets, the more we realize that the solar system is stranger and more bizarre than we had ever anticipated it might be. the more wonder there is in the universe. And I think it's science fiction that has permitted me to experience that wonder in the real world.
Okay, great. I got one funny little story that I thought of while the panel was just talking. This seriously happened to me not so long ago when Mars was on closest approach last time. Somebody came up to me and said, "David, you're into space and Mars and all that stuff. I've heard you talk about it many a time. Is it true that Mars is going to be about the size of the full moon in a few weeks?" Like, wow, I hope so. Yikes. There is such an amazing array of science fiction which is portrayed as science fact out there by the media, by people writing about Osama bin Laden being on Mars. No. Who knows? But I encourage you to read, I encourage you to watch, because although these are all science fiction authors, movies and radio shows and plays and other things were barely mentioned. But I'm more of a visual person myself. Rock and roll aliens. Anyway. Go out there, read more, write more, let people know what you're doing with the Mars Society, how much you enjoyed the conference, how much you learned about Mars, how much you learned from the panel, and finish Blue Mars.
And do what you can to transform Mars novel genre from science fiction into historical novel.
Reverend. Thank you.
For those of you who are interested, at least some of us have books that we'd be willing to sell and or sign for you. Thank you.